Hello again. Anger is mounting among some South Africans against what they are labeling as undocumented foreigners. But what kind of message does this largely anti-African sentiment send to our neighbours, for example, and what can be done to intervene effectively? Well, for more on this, let's get some insights and thoughts from Tshepo Matseba. He is a brand reputation strategist. Tshepo, good afternoon, and thank you very much for your time. I mean, seemingly, we cannot ignore the fact that the bulk of the action that we're seeing, including what played itself out in Deep Slot yesterday, is really directed against undocumented foreign nationals of African origin, mostly. Or am I reading that incorrectly?
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, Dan. No, you are not reading this incorrectly. Your analysis is correct. So the difficulty with a generic anti-foreign sentiment is that they are often directed rightfully or wrongfully so at Africans, at mainly black foreign nationals. And unfortunately, in the cross-firing line are foreign nationals, but often South Africans actually who have a darker skin like myself often get killed during attacks on foreign nationals because they have now, these foreign attacks have become systemic in nature. Now, we appreciate and know and understand that South Africa's economic situation is difficult with high levels of unemployment and deep levels of poverty. But that does not give us the right to actually marginalize groups of people. Because in terms of the law, everybody who's in South Africa is protected by the Constitution of South Africa. To raise concerns about illegal foreigners in the country is valid, but those concerns, at least in the eyes of investors, should be raised in a legally correct manner within the framework of the law. And we know that the consequences of vigilantism has now resulted in another life being lost last night. Now, granted, we accept that we hear that there were other people who have been killed, and allegations are that those who were South Africans, and there are about 7 individuals in the area. But that doesn't also give anybody the right to now go and attack and attack and victimize defenseless people who are probably also here due to economic situations that we are facing in the SADC region and in particular Zimbabwe.
You know, I was listening to the president earlier, and we will touch on that a little bit later. I know you were also watching him addressing South Africa's heads of mission from various countries. At some part of it, he speaks about South Africa and the rest of Africa. One part, he says, in positioning South Africa's diplomacy, the African agenda is paramount. And I'm just reading that little bit there. And then he talks about the importance of peace and stability being vital for development on our continent. But that's a leader at that level. But on the ground, people have got bread and butter issues on a daily basis. And then the anger and frustrations being vented does not make it right for there to be violence. But they feel justified that in the competition for limited resources, they need space for themselves.
Yeah, it's a difficult position to be in, that when we are hungry, therefore we often get the natural inclination to think that that gives us the automatic right to take other people out, to kill other people. The fact that we are having difficulties of an economic nature doesn't mean that actually we are not trading with Zimbabwe. South Africa is trading with Zimbabwe. South Africa is trading with Mozambique. Southern Africa is actually a crucial component of South Africa's economic activity on a day-to-day basis. In fact, a lot of citizens, bus drivers, truck drivers from Zimbabwe export goods and services between South Africa and Zimbabwe and Mozambique and other areas in the SADC region on a daily basis. And so for us as citizens to allow vigilantism and for us as a country to seem to create a space for vigilantism to thrive above using the legal instruments of the law to manage our immigration and economic challenges would be disingenuous and would be embarrassing for us globally. And that's because South Africa has just come out of the South African Investment Conference, and President Cyril Ramaphosa there appealed to investors to having raised almost 1.2 trillion in that session and in those investment commitments. And all of that work is now being tarnished because we are beginning to continue with our drive to victimize a few individuals, a few foreign nationals on the basis of anger and frustration about our localized resources. The key is for leaders to create a space and use the right policy frameworks, the right policy direction to empower law enforcement officials to do their job and do so effectively, and not necessarily have a situation that we are currently facing.
So, Tshepo, image-wise, I mean, reputation-wise, I mean, South Africa is a leader, is regarded as a regional power, for example. Let's just focus in the SADC region. You've mentioned some of the countries there, like Mozambique and Zimbabwe. I mean, what does this do to that image and reputation? Because I recall a few years ago, at the height of xenophobic attacks, there were some attempts at retaliating against South African citizens in some neighboring countries. Is there a risk of that today, despite a tarnished image and reputation currently?
Yeah, the risk is always there. Now, you may imagine, and you may have seen that in Alexander a few weeks ago, a similar situation happened when Operation Dudula, or what is perceived to be Operation Dudula, was actually attacking or planning to protest and remove foreign nationals from the shopping areas in Alexander. And foreigners decided to stand for themselves and to physically defend themselves. Now, the reality of this kind of activity is that foreigners in other countries may actually begin to marginalize South Africans who do business in those areas. Okay. For example, if you look at in telecommunications, one of the Africa's major telecommunications network, MTN, operates from Nigeria and is doing business in other parts of the continent. Now, when you look at publications like the Vanguard in Nigeria, the headlines are saying South Africans are attacking foreigners, that foreigners are under siege in South Africa and they're not welcome. That poses a huge, significant risk for us, especially towards the world.
I'm sorry I have to cut you out. Thank you very much, Tshepo, for your time and insights. I'm sorry I have to cut you there. We've got another live event that we need to go through now, but I guess your insights and points are very clear, very well made. This is not good for the country and its image and reputation globally. Now,